Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon. We had the weigh-ins for UFC Vegas 82 earlier today, where we saw a few people have problems making weight. We had Esteban nearly get carried to the scale by his coaches over at Novo União. We had Aylin Perez miss weight. We had some late weigh-ins from Uros Medic and also from Pinheiro. So yeah, interesting weigh-ins for this card, but it didn't really change my opinions on a lot of stuff as far as what I was going to put in this week's parlay. I think a lot of the fights that I was planning on putting in here anyway were unaffected by the weigh-in shenanigans today. So I'm looking forward to breaking down this parlay with you guys. We've got 13 of you already hanging out live a minute in here, and yeah, we are coming off a win last week. Now, it was not a great win, okay? I got rinsed at the counter myself, almost down 6.5 units. But the Greasy 4-leg parlay did hit. We had the over 1.5 rounds for Joshua Van versus Borjas. That went over 1.5 pretty easily there. We had the Vyacheslav Borshev money line, which at plus money wasn't a bad bet. But he was very close to being finished. He got 10-8'd in the second round, but he won like 13 of the 15 minutes of that fight, and he showed tremendous durability, but so did Nazim Sadikov. I think a lot of those shots that were landing from Borshev would have gotten a lot of the division out of there, but Nazim Sadikov, that dude has got some serious durability. So that was an amazing fight. It wound up being a draw, but because it was a money line bet, draw bet is a push. We got our money back there. So it wound up making it from a 4-leg parlay into a 3-leg parlay. And the last 2 legs were violence. We had the under 1.5 in the Pavlovich Aspinall fight, which easily cashed. And we had the under 2.5 in the Prochaska versus Pereira fight, which also easily cashed. Cashed the parlay at like plus 250, plus 300. Hey, it's free money. We'll take it. So we got one in a row. But in order to get a flapjack stack, we need at least 2. You know, even if it's just a short stack, we got to put another flapjack on top of the flapjack that we earned last week by cashing this parlay. And it starts right now, you guys. So let me just get right into it. I'll share my screen with you here. I've got DraftKings Sportsbook up. I checked this parlay on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's better on DraftKings right now in terms of the number, so I'll build it there. But there is also, I will be giving out the Take This Job and Shove It parlay, which is currently checking in at plus 131,900. All right. So $100 wins you 131,000. You can go and tell your boss to shove this JOB after winning this parlay. But we're going to start with the regular one, the Greasy 4-legger. And the first leg this week, you guys, is going to be the Charles Johnson money line at plus 130. As you know, if you watch Just the Tip with your Uncle Weezy on Wednesday night, Charles Johnson is the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week this week. And that was before the weigh-ins. I felt like Esteban had faced much worse level of competition than Charles Johnson up until this point. We also saw Esteban botch a weight cut in his UFC debut on fight week. So we know already that this guy has been fighting at 125 pounds since the age of 18 when he turned pro. And now here he is almost 10 years later, and he's still trying to make that weight, and he clearly is having problems doing it. The one thing that you really need to have locked down and on point, if you're going to be somebody that shoots 20 takedowns and tries to hold another grown man down for 15 full minutes, is that your cardio and weight cut had to have went well. When you're getting helped to the scale by your coach and still coming in 2 pounds heavy, this guy Esteban is not really going to be a flyweight. He's probably going to have to move up to bantamweight, and he's still the smaller guy here. This guy's got a lot to prove, everybody. He could wind up going out there and having a similar performance against Charles Johnson that we saw Cody Durden have, that we saw Mohammed Makayev have, and just be able to smother him and hold him down and grapple him for the full 15 minutes. but those guys didn't come in nearly dead from their weight cuts. And those guys were already more well tested than what Esteban is at this point in his career. So big step up in competition, horrible weight cut, and he needs to push the kind of a pace against a cardio monster in Charles Johnson in order to out grapple him for 15 minutes that he probably won't be able to push after that horrible of a weight cut. The Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs are barking pick of the week. I've already got one unit on them, plus 135 on BetOnline Sportsbook. So we are going to start off with the Charles Johnson money line at plus 130 to ensure now that we can get 3 legs that are juiced here, but still get a good plus money number on this parlay. Leg number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week this week is Jonathan Pierce to shave the ass of Joe Anderson Brito. However, we do know that Brito is very, very dangerous, and this is going to be a very difficult fight for Jonathan Pierce here. However, I see this fight finishing inside the distance. Pierce sets a pace that Brito couldn't possibly keep up with. We saw Algio outpace him for 3 rounds and get a win against him. If you can weather that early storm against Brito, he will slow down later on in fights because everything that he does has nothing to do with pacing. He is throwing all of his strikes with 100% power. He will shoot takedowns. He will try to match that pace early in the fight that Pierce is going to set. But we both know, as the fight goes on, Jonathan Pierce is somebody that gets better as fight goes on, and Brito is not. So whether it's Brito early or Pierce late, I see this fight finishing inside the distance. So we're going to get a nice 70% implied probability here line with Pierce Brito finishing inside the distance. So on DraftKings, we're going to go to fight props up here at the top and fight to go the distance. We will find Jonathan Pierce versus Joe Anderson Brito and click minus 250 no, which brings our parlay up to plus 222 for 2 legs here. Leg 3, another violence leg, and it is going to be Chase Hooper versus Jordan Levitt. Fight does not go to decision. Minus 105 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I bet this earlier in the week on BetOnline at minus 110. I like this spot a lot. Chase Hooper is another guy who sets an absolutely insane pace from the word go. Whether it's grappling or striking or clinch exchanges, this guy never stops, whether he's on his back, whether he's on his top, whether he's on top, whether he's scrambling, whether he's in the clinch, or whether he's at distance striking range. Chase Hooper never stops doing stuff. And Jordan Levitt is a guy who has gotten weaker as fights have went on, especially when there's a grappling heavy pace to be had early. And we know that this fight's going to get into the grappling exchanges early and often. There will be a lot of scrambles. I do think Chase Hooper probably wins this fight and gets a late finish in the 2nd or 3rd round. I've bet Chase Hooper round 3 at plus 1,000 for a quarter unit to win 2.5 units. And I also think that Jordan Levitt's very dangerous early in fights as well. He just proved that last time out against Victor Martinez. And we know that Jordan Levitt is a very sneaky and unique submission grappler in his own right. So when this fight goes to the ground, you could see both of these guys attempting submissions. I think that the pace that Hooper sets is guaranteeing that this fight finishes inside the distance. So even though we're paying just a little bit over 50%, I see this one finishing inside the distance about like 70% of the time. So I think this is one of my favorite lines of the week, is that this fight does not go the full 3 rounds. So I'm looking for Hooper, Levitt. Does fight go to decision? No, at minus 105 here. That brings our parlay up to plus 528. And as you guys know, I always like to get you guys out on a fat leg so that we can hedge out. If the first 3 legs cash, we can guarantee ourselves some kind of a profit here. And so what I'm going to do is go fight to start round 5, say no for the main event, Allen versus Craig. 2 very dangerous finishers here, guys who get finished in their losses. Brendan Allen knocked out in both of his UFC losses. Paul Craig finished in nearly every loss in his career. So both of these guys very susceptible to the knockout, and both of these guys are very dangerous submission grapplers. In addition to that, neither one of these guys has ever had a fight scheduled for 5 rounds in the UFC. So while maybe we can expect them to come out with a little bit less urgency than they would in a 5-round fight, I don't think either one of these guys is planning to go the full 25. So it feels like a very safe line here to just say this fight is not going to start round 5. We got a full 20 minutes for one of these guys to find a finish, and we're getting an 83.33% implied probability here. So I think it's a pretty good bet, and I think it's a pretty fat leg knowing that we can get out on the other side of this. Now, if we go up here to round props, we're going to go to start round X, and we're going to go down to the main event here. We're going to say no minus 500 fight to start round 5 for Allen versus Craig. That gets us up to plus 654 on this parlay. But yeah, this is a nice fat leg, like I said, and we can get plus 330, for yes, fight to start round 5. And then if we have cash the first 3 legs of this parlay, we can guarantee ourselves a profit one way or another here by just betting a little bit on fight to start round 5 and hedging it probably on another book. You don't want to hedge on the same book that you place the parlay with, ideally. But either way, that clocks in at plus 654 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's cash this one and make it 2 in a row, you guys. And then just for a new segment here, because this was something I was thinking about all week in terms of, wow, there's some fat props out there that I like all of them this week. I'm betting all of them as tracked bets. But, I'm one of these guys that has always believed that pace is such a great weapon. Pace and durability, when you combine them together, gives you the ability to weather early storms and break your opponents late. And there's several fighters actually on this card that fit that archetype. So for the inaugural Take This Job and Shove It parlay, I am going to give you a 3-leg parlay where $100 can win you over $100,000 if this should hit. And this is the kind of hit on any kind of a bet that can have you going up to your boss on Monday and just saying, you could take this job and shove it, buddy. I don't need your bullshit anymore. I got enough money off of Uncle Weezy's parlay to not have to work for a year or two. And you can just put your middle finger up slowly. You can put it close enough to his face so that he can examine it closely and say, I ain't working here no more. Who do you think you are? Take your apron off and throw it on the floor. Cash this parlay, and you will have the opportunity to do that on Monday. So here it is, you guys. Pace Monsters on FanDuel. Chase Hooper to win in round 3 at plus 1,000. Peyton Talbot to win in round 3 at plus 700. And Jonathan Pierce to win in round 3 at plus 1,400. That clocks in at a plus 131,900, a $100 wager to win $131,900. Or you could bet it for $10 and win 13K, see if I care, right? It doesn't matter. The point is that if all 3 of these pace monsters weather the early storm and break their opponents late, you can go tell your boss to take this job and shove it. Plus 131,900. In addition to that, we're not just giving you out one parlay. We're not just giving you out 2 parlays. How about you hoes want a Prize Picks play from your Uncle Weezy? Huh? You hoes want that? Let's go. Prize Picks. 3-leg play. Rafael Estevam. 58.5 significant strikes. We're going less than that. Estevam's path to victory is getting takedowns and being on top. And he landed a ton of ground and pound in his Dana White's Contender Series fight when he was fighting a jiu-jitsu guy who wasn't trying to get back up, who he could continue to stay on top of. If he takes Charles Johnson down, Johnson's just going to keep getting back up. Estevam is not going to be at distance long enough to land 58.5 significant strikes. And if he is at distance for a prolonged period of time against Charles Johnson, he's probably getting knocked out. So I like the under 58.5 significant strikes for Rafael Estevam. And I just want to show you what kind of number that puts you up against in this division. So if I bring up my Prize Picks analytics here and I go to the men's flyweight division, I can go here to my significant strike counter because I have every flyweight fight that's ever happened, right? So Esteban is listed at 58.5 significant strikes. So I can put that number here in my 3-round thing. So 58.5. And I can find out how many fighters got over that number. The winner gets that number 67 out of 276, or less than 25% of the time. The losing fighter gets that number less than 12% of the time. 98 out of 552 fighters in the flyweight division have landed more than 58.5 significant strikes. Now, when you put that up against the fact that Rafael has to grapple in order to have a chance of winning this fight, plus he had a horseshit weight cut, which could leave his durability and his conditioning compromised, I don't like him going over 58.5 significant strikes. So that's leg one. Leg two is we're counting on Jonathan Pierce weathering the early storm. If we go to the Prize Picks analytics and we look at featherweights right here, I can go to my Prize Picks fantasy score for 3 rounds. And we know that Pierce is looking for 76.5. We can enter that number and see that 78% of winners get over that number, 3% of losers, so 40.67% of fighters get over that number. And we're talking about a guy in Jonathan Pierce here who is scoring a ridiculous amount of Prize Picks points that we can check out right over here on your Uncle Weezy's stats, which is another great reason to join the Patreon, because you get access to all these stats. Well, we can go to Jonathan Pierce's Prize Picks fantasy scoring here, and we can see this is what he's scored: 107, 165. Let me zoom in on this a little bit for you guys. This is what he's scored: 107, 165, 76.8, 123.2, 146.6, and then 7.8 against Joe Lozon. So he scores a ton of DraftKings points. I mean, if he wins this, he probably not only just gets 70, he probably doubles it and gets about 140. We're going to find out a lot about Joe Anderson Brito's takedown defense in this fight, and we know that Jonathan Pierce can relentlessly wrestle. So I love the Jonathan Pierce over here for fantasy points. And then we're going to also add in that Chase Hooper under 14.75 fight time, because I also love the fight doesn't go to decision here. That is 1 unit to win 5, you guys. So we've got a plus 654 Greasy 4-leg parlay. We've got a plus 131,900 take this job and shove it parlay. And I've given you a 3-leg Prize Picks plays where you can put down 1 unit to win 5. So your Uncle Weezy's done his job. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. And we got my guy Olajuwon Dream is in the room saying, "Oi, what is up, dude?" We got Victor De Jesus saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Weezy in chat? Let's cash Greasy 4-leggers this weekend. Let's cash them all. Let's cash the Greasy 4-legger. Let's cash the take this job and shove it parlay. Let's cash the Prize Picks play. Let's really rake these bookies over the coals this week." My guy Snerius is in the room saying, "Oi!" We've got Mark Frost in the room saying, "Let's go, Weezy." What's up, Mark? Thanks for hanging out with us. We got my guy Remdog in the room, and Remdog is saying, "Oi!" We've got Nigel Lee in the room, Money Bank Locks on Twitter saying, "Oi!" We got Grateful Dude saying, "Oi, yes." We've got TH in the room saying, "Weezy, what up, brother?" All is good here, man. I'm looking to have some fun watching these fights and hopefully cash a whole ton of bets here. So I think it starts today, you guys. We got Jeff K saying, "Let's go. Hope you're having an excellent day." Great day over here, man. I cannot complain. Nigel Lee, loving the sweater. Thank you. My girlfriend got this pullover for me. It is a beautiful fall colors type of thing going on. I walked the dog in this, who's also matched this because he's a Doberman. Got my cousin's dog that I'm taking care of for a couple of weeks. So we go out looking good here in Avondale, Chicago, when we're outside and the leaves are falling. I got my fall colors on and I got a fall colored dog next to me. It's awesome. Victor de Jesus. Oh, Perez went back and made weight. Oh, okay. So only Esteban and Alexander missed weight by 2 pounds each. My bad, dude. I didn't realize that Perez went back and made it. She had an extra 2 pounds to lose in an hour. Wow. That's interesting. So good for her that she actually made weight. I didn't realize that. Thank you for the heads up, my man. We got Remdog saying, you think Esteban weight cheat going to help him? I always hear those last 3 pounds to cut are the worst. So skipping that seems largely beneficial. Yeah, it might help him. It might help him. But the thing is, dude, when it's your UFC debut and you have to cancel the fight due to a completely botched weight cut, the most important weight cut of your life, and you fuck it up, chances are Esteban didn't fuck that weight cut up because he was lazy or he wasn't focused. It's because he can't make the weight anymore. That's what I'm convinced about. You see guys like Chase Hooper, they come in really young. Jake Matthews is another guy on this card who, is making his UFC debut at the age of 19, Yeah, Matthews started at 155, but he had to move up to 170. Hooper started at 145. He had to move up to 155. Uros Medic started at 155. He was young. He had to move up to 170. You can't keep making the same weight that you were making when you were 19, 20, 21 years old. And I think that's the problem with Esteban, is that he just is unable to make 125 pounds anymore. So he may have cut, as much weight as possible and really drained himself, even though he didn't make the weight. So we got Cameron in the room saying Levitt is my underdog of the month due to Hooper being absolute trash. Look, Hooper isn't trash. You got to remember, he's got really good and innovative submission grappling. He's got excellent conditioning. He gets hit a ton, and his defense is horseshit, but he's pretty durable. So he's got some qualities that are good. You don't win that many fights in the UFC on pure accident, but there are parts of Chase Hooper's game that are trash, Cameron, and you're absolutely right about that. His defense is trash. It's trash. Specifically the striking defense, distance striking defense. And I don't think I don't think his takedowns are good either. So if he's facing a guy who's got better striking than him and he can't take them down, yeah, he could look really bad in that fight. So yeah, there are parts of his game that still are trash, but there are also parts of his game, the output, the conditioning, the scrambling ability, that are pretty damn close to elite, actually. So he's one of those weird fighters. He's really good in some places and really bad in others. We got Swinger in there saying, thanks, Uncle, for last week's four-legger. Good to see you hanging out in here, Swinger. Hope all is well, brother. Jester in the room saying, waiting for Uros fight props to drop. Yeah, I know. I am too, dude. I think the CLD fights just started to drop on BetOnline, and I'd like to see where those Uros props are going to open, because that's a very interesting fight. We got Mr. Jingle saying, sing it, Uncle Weezy. I don't want to get any, copyright infringement from my guy, Johnny Paycheck, or from my favorite version of Take This Job and Shove It on the Office Space soundtrack by our guys, Cannabis, and rest in peace to the king himself, Mr. Biz Marquis. The Biz never sleeps. I mean, well, he's sleeping now for a very, very long time. But while Biz Marquis was alive, that man did not sleep. So it's good to know that the Biz is sleeping resting well now. Rest easy, Big Biz. But Take This and Shove It by Cannabis and Biz Marquis, one of my favorite tracks of all time. Swinger, let's take this job and shove it in. Let's go. I'll buy that parlay for $1, says Jester. Moneybanks Locks loves it. We got real fight picks in the room saying, oi, what is up, dude? We got Antonio Esparza saying, oi, what's up, Unc? We got Silky B saying, let's cash some dogs. We got Antonio Esparza saying, did you see the pic that Alien Perez is literally in the hospital after her weigh-in? Do you think that'll affect her tomorrow? Well, Alien Perez is somebody else that's going to have to push a grappling-heavy game plan in order to achieve the objective of winning the fight. So yeah, you never want to see somebody in the hospital due to their weight cut the day before they're supposed to get into the cage. So yeah, I did not see that. But we'll find out a lot more about it tomorrow. But lucky for me, man, I've got nothing on that fight, but I do have Aylin Perez in my cash lineup on DraftKings. So I'm going to have to monitor that situation. I appreciate the information. We got James Vidala saying, hello, Uncle. Let's go. Let's go, James. We got C. Andrews 99 saying, what's up, gangsta? Unc in the house. Oi, what is up, C. Andrews? And saying, only missed weight by 0.5 pounds. Oh, okay. All right. I thought I saw 2. My bad. Esteban and Alexander were the ones that missed by 2 pounds. Alexander looked like he didn't want to cut. Esteban looked like shit. That's what I heard. I heard Esteban looked terrible. And I know that my guy DFS by the numbers took some shots on the second and third round props at like fat numbers on Charles Johnson. We got Hooper round 3 is the tits. Yeah, that's one of my track bets, man. So let's go. I wouldn't put Levitt in a parlay since he might drop if his wife breaks water. Yeah, I hear you, but yeah, I mean, if that's what happens, it goes down to 3 legs and we got even more of a chance at cashing it. But yeah, dude, where you really want to be careful about Levitt or Hooper is in your DraftKings lineups, because it's the kind of thing where, she could go into labor an hour after the cards start and Jordan says, I'm out of here, man. I'm going to go be with my wife while she births our child. So that's where I would really worry about it. But that I still love Chase Hooper round 3. And everyone has 1.4 likes or 14 likes. Let's go, you guys. I appreciate you guys for hanging out here. So we've got the Greasy 4-leg parlay is going to be the Charles Johnson money line. Fight does not go to decision for Pierce versus Brito. Fight does not go to decision for Hooper versus Levitt. Fight does not start round 5 for Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. The take this job and shove it parlay, $100 to win $131,000, is Hooper round 3, Pierce round 3, and Peyton Talbot round 3. And we're also going with the 3-leg prize picks plays. You can see it up there. Rafael Esteban under 58.5 significant strikes. Jonathan Pierce more than 76.5 fantasy score. And Chase Hooper less than 14.75 fight time. 1 unit to win 5. Appreciate you guys for hanging out here. We got Mike Martin saying, I just want to thank you for the love. It's right on time every time, Weez. I appreciate you, Mike. And he's saying, I will always apply the Greasy 4-legger, baby. I appreciate you, and let's make this 2 in a row, my man. And Victor De Jesus saying, good luck tomorrow, everyone. Don't forget to hit the like. Yes, please, hit me a like. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of the great content here. And then you can join the Patreon at this address right here, which will give you access to the prop template, to the advanced stats, the matchup stats. Everything that we have here is a result of a lot of hard work on my part behind the scenes to update these stats, curate them, and a lot of coding and a lot of spreadsheets to put them in a readable way that you can get the most information from it so that you can make better gambling decisions. So I appreciate everybody that supports me on the Patreon. To my Patreon members, look for the stats for UFC Austin in about an hour and a half from now. I'll have those ready. I'm also going to try to get out the UFC China stats, is it? Because I think they moved the card upcoming. So we're going to have the Dariush versus Sarukian stats ready later on today. And then the card after that, yes, Song versus Gutierrez was supposed to be in Shanghai, China, but I think they're moving that to Las Vegas. So I'm going to try to have those out to you by tomorrow. And then all we have to do from there on out, you guys, is enjoy these fights. Stay safe, Antonio, and let's stay safe from letting the bookies take our money. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 82. Enjoy the fights, everybody, and we will see you guys in a little over a week, because there's not going to be any stat diggers on Sunday this week because we've got the week off after this week. So enjoy Thanksgiving with your families. My best from my family to yours. and let's make some money watching these fights. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you in a little bit over a week. Later.